cold. Anyway, hello there and welcome to the channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about those trees you should never consider touching, cutting, trimming, pruning over the winter period. It's going to cause you big problems down the line. We're going to put these into three groups. First one is going to be those trees which, if you cut now, are going to leave them open to a high risk of a fungal or bacterial infection. The second group are those trees that produce their flowering buds on the tips of the branches and takes flipping God knows how long. Well, it takes about 8-9 months to produce those flower buds. So anything you cut over the winter period, you will be removing flower buds. So if you get carried away, come the spring, you won't have any flowers on it. The only flowers will be on anything that you haven't cut. And get what I mean. And the third group are those trees that have a propensity, it's a good word there, to exude huge amounts of sap if you cut them at the wrong time of year. Now these are trees that absolutely need to be as dormant as they can possibly be before they start cutting, and depending on what part of the winter you're in, because we're going to break it down into three parts, the early, middle and end of the winter, you could cause yourself problems, because if you get excessive sap coming out your tree, it's going to weaken the plant and also again opens it to risk of infection. So those are the three groups. The lists I'm going to give you are not extensive, but they are the key plants, and if there's any plants that you would like to add, then you're more than welcome to do so. Just put those in the comments section so the other people who read the comments can also find out a bit more about this too. So it's an important one. Let's get on with it before I literally freeze to death. Figuratively freeze to death. So this first group of trees are those that are in the Prunus genus. So it's going to be cultivars, hybrids and species of cherries. It's going to be apricots, it's going to be nectarines, it's going to be plums, it's going to be ornamental cherries. All of these are highly at risk from infections from bacterial canker or silverleaf, so bacterial and fungal infections. You do not cut them in the winter. It's the worst time. It's cold, when it's damp, that you're always guaranteed you're gonna get an infection. Just don't do it. At least this is the issue that we have here in the UK. When you cut these, is in the driest parts of the year, so you're looking over the summer. Don't cut them in the summer after rainfall when humidity is high, because again that increases the risk of infection. Dryness is the key. Winter is an absolute no-no. Group number two. Now, group number two are those trees that take god-awful time in order to produce their flower buds, and those flower buds are produced at the tips of the branches. So if you cut them, like I said before, you'll be removing those. So these are plants such as your lilacs. These are plants such as your camellias, rhododendrons. You do get some tree forms of rhododendrons. You're looking at magnolias. And if for some reason you decide, the thing is, they will cut really nicely at this time of year, and they'll often take really hard cuts and grow really well straight after. But the problem is, if you are cutting it because you have to, that's fine. But if you're cutting it because your wife's told you to tidy up the trees because it's going to be a bit big, and you get carried away pruning them, then everything you've pruned will not have a flower on it at all. So as part of standard practice, you never cut these plants over the winter period. You always cut them either immediately after flowering or just before the end of flowering. That way, when you get your new growth, you'll have the buds. They'll start to emerge then, and then they've got the whole of the rest of the growing period until the spring, until those floods, those buds actually break up and come into flower. So, camellias, rhododendron trees, magnolias, lilacs. You never cut in the winter, unless of course, like I say, you have to, and it will take you. It's not going to damage the tree, but like I say, if you do so, everything you cut will lose its blooms. And now we're at the last group, group three, the group of trees which exude excessive sap when you cut them at the wrong time of year. And it's very difficult to get the timing right on a lot of these, because it can be here and there. So just be very careful. We're looking at least in the UK, we're looking at birch, we're looking at willow, we're looking at walnut, we're looking at elms, and we're looking at Japanese acers, all of these, you cut them at the wrong time of year, excessive bleeding of the sap. So to avoid that, you want to cut them at the right time of the year, and you can't just say winter is the right time for these, because it's not. You can't just blanketly call that, it won't work. I know many people say, well, they're dormant now. Then they might be dormant, they might look dormant, but that sap will still be rising, especially with birch. If you want to cut birch, the dormant period for those is end of the autumn, beginning of the winter. If you sort of hit that midwinter, end of the winter, then you're going to get a serious release of sap from there, and all this will do is weaken the plant, damage it, open it to risk of infection. So really I wouldn't do it. And if I'm being honest with you, if you've got birches in your garden that you're considering cutting, then let's be honest with you, you bought the wrong plant. You should have done your research and bought something that was much smaller. So, and that kind of goes for all of these. Really check the varieties before you buy them, make sure you got the space to accommodate them, and then be honest with you, you don't want to start touching them, because these, especially the birches, are absolutely gorgeous. You start lopping them and you're going to misshapen them, and they'll be terrible. That'll be it. That is terrible for the rest of their life. It's such a shame. I see it a lot. Anyway, so beware birches. Now elms, we don't seem to see many elms around these days, especially because you've got problems with Dutch elm disease. I think there's a beetle out there as well that's causing a lot of problems. Again, you cannot cut these in the winter. If you want to cut these, you're going to be cutting these in early spring. So you've been told, elms, early spring. So walnuts, Juglans genus, there's a few of those, and I really like them. I mean, who doesn't want homegrown walnuts? Superb. Anyway, come to cutting. Again, you don't cut in the winter. Heavy sap bleeders, and they will not tolerate a hard cut. So don't think about lopping lumps off it, because it won't like it. You want to cut these, you're cutting these end of the summer, early autumn. That's kind of your one opportunity. Right, we're nearly there at the end. Japanese acers, they are late autumn to early winter, so again you can't cut these mid or late winter. Again, well known for producing loads of sap, but if you're looking at pruning back acers, again you've planted the wrong plant in the wrong place, and the risk of misshapen these is extremely high when you start cutting these. So unless you're removing dead disease, dying, or crossing with, you know, the standard group, then I wouldn't touch them. I really wouldn't touch them at all. So that's acers. And here's the last one, weeping willows. So weeping willows are late winter, but really with all of these trees that are prone to producing huge amounts of sap most of the year, apart from those very small windows where you're going to get at least minimum sap production, I wouldn't plant them. I wouldn't plant them unless you're happy that you can accommodate the size and leave them there without touching, apart from, you know, dead disease design, blah blah blah. And there you have it. Those are all the plants, all the trees you should not be cutting over the winter period. And if there's any others that you would like to add, then you are more than welcome to do so. Put that in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching. And before I go, consider pressing like, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that jazz that helps support the channel. And before I go, just one last message from me from the past. Goodbye, and hopefully see you in the next video. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we have created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description, you can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while I still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.